Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Star Explorer from Queen Games. Star Explorer is a 1-to-4 player flip and draw game, although I will say this is one of those games that if you do have multiple copies of it, you can keep expanding that player count. 2 copies could go up to 8 players, 3 copies go up to 12 players, and if you need more than 12 copies, well, you have a good friend group. That said, I will also note, I don't often comment on prices in game reviews, but this is a relatively affordable game, which means if you do want to go up to 2 copies at the very least, I don't think it's the craziest thing to do. But that said, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. How do you play this game? What are you doing? Well, across 6 rounds of play, you're going to be drawing various constellations onto your grid. Every single round, you're going to be flipping one of these 7 tiles. You will have one left over at the end of the game, and you're going to draw that shape into your galaxy before rotating that galaxy, which I'll do over here, I'll show you. You're going to be rotating that galaxy to the next spot on the board until you go back to the very beginning. So you are going to be slowly going through 6 different quadrants of your galaxy, and it's kind of structured into quarters. The actual galaxy is kind of more quarter base, but the way it turns, you're going through 6 different rotations or quadrants. To that end, what are you trying to do? How are you going to score points? Before we focus too much on that, I'm just going to go ahead and flip one of these, draw it, and then walk you through it. So let's say for right now, I go ahead and I flip this 6. Now the way it's structured is that at any given point there is the active player. The active player is going to choose a number to flip. So let's say I choose 8, and then all the other players have to choose their 8 to flip, or in the case of 7s, which you have 2, they can choose either of those to flip. So one player is deciding effectively what is being flipped each turn from those 6 out of 7 tiles that you have. Again, in this case, I'm going to flip the 6 over here. I'm going to take it and I'm going to line it up with my initial starting tile, which this will change, but we'll walk you through this. I'm going to take this galaxy and I'm going to draw it on my board. Now this galaxy can be rotated, it cannot be flipped, so it can be rotated in any way as long as it fits onto the structure. And for right now, the main thing you need to know is that I'm trying to go ahead and get it touching purple and yellow stars, because those are the 2 shapes we have over there, or the 2 colors we have over there. To that end, I'm not going to min-max to the nth degree, but I will try to get at least something decent. I think this is a decent enough. You see, this is the problem. I want to min-max. I think we're going to do this. I think this is a pretty good structure. 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're going to do that one. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go ahead and rotate this, and then we're going to draw a little. Let me get a little bit of ink going. We're going to draw a line, and then draw another one, and then we're going to go down here and draw another, and then down here and draw another, and then down here, draw another, and finally down here and draw another. We have just made that shape onto our galaxy board. So we've drawn that constellation on our board. Now, how are we going to score? Well, let's start with the first thing. You're going to score, the first section you're going to score is for each purple star, we're going to get 1 point because we have 1 next to the purple. So 1, 2, 3, that's going to be 3 points we're going to draw in our first box. For each yellow star, we're going to get 2 points, so that's going to be 1 yellow star. It looks like we only hit 1 yellow. Again, I probably could have done better, but I wasn't trying to take too long. That's going to be 2 points for that yellow. And then for every time you have a yellow line going from a line going from a yellow to a purple star, you're going to get the sum of those points. So in this case, I would get 3 points for this line because it goes from yellow to purple. That's going to be 3 points, and you get 3 for each of those. I only have the 1. We're going to total that up, and that's going to be 8. Our first constellation is going to be worth 8 points on this grid. That's the basic idea of what you're doing. There's a bunch of other ways to score points. We'll get to those in a second. But the core idea is you flip a constellation, and then you go ahead, you flip a constellation tile, you draw that constellation on your board, and then you score points for the 2 different stars you have, as well as lines between the stars. We're going to do one more, but before we do, I'm going to tell you about the other 3 ways that you score points, or technically other 4 ways you score points. The first thing over here is it's going to show you that you're going to get 1 point for every star that you have included in a constellation around your central sun over there. That's going to be up to 8 points if you include all the stars in the middle. You're going to get 2 points for every time you crossed this white line. So I just crossed it right here. That's 2 points right there. I'm going to get 2 points just for crossing that. And additionally, you get 3 points for the stars circled on the very edge of your galaxy. That's these 3 over here, and more when we turn it, which is part of why I went for this particular pattern, because I was trying to get those extra 6 points over there. So even though I only got 8 from the star itself, I crossed the line for 2, and I got 6 more there, netting me another 8 points in bonus points there. The last thing you can do is you can scratch off these stars in order to not draw one of the stars in your constellation. If you draw a constellation that's partially in the way, because you can't actually have other constellations touching the same stars in other constellations, you can solve that by basically crossing these off and losing those 3 points in order to not draw any one of these stars. You will lose 3 points, so you want to make sure you're doing it with intent at the right time and the right place, but it can often be worth it if it lets you draw the right thing. After round 1, we're going to go ahead and flip this, and then the next player is going to go ahead. Well, first we're going to rotate our board, and then the next player is going to choose what color, what tile they want to do. Now, right about now, you can still see my constellation on the edge of the galaxy. As you rotate through this, you will slowly still have exposure to more and more sections, but you're going to have overlap in the sections. For right now, let's pretend, let's just do, I'm not going to look too carefully, we'll do a 9. Okay, we're going to do a 9. 9's can get large, so we're going to flip this 9 over here. The other player chose 9, and we're going to line this up with what was previously. That yellow over there is going to affect the current turn and the next turn. So right now we have this crazy shape, and this is where I do find it can be a little crazy right now because I'm trying to line these up practically with the galaxy, so I need to do it this way. This is the way I need to line it up, and I'm trying to connect yellows and blues. So again, I won't spend too long on this, but now that you know a better sense of the goals, I will try to do a bit more. In fact, this actually looks pretty awesome. I'm going to do this one over here. So I'm going to go over here, like so, then link to there. Then I'm going to go up to here. This is going to go up to here, like so. And then this is going to go like there. This is actually a very good shape right now. I did not spend too much time thinking about it. When I'm actually playing the game, I tend to spend a little bit more time thinking about it. But right now I'm just showing you how to play this beautifully. It doesn't actually connect these two constellations, but it very closely comes there, being efficient on space. And look at those yellows and blues. So for yellows, we have 2 yellows that were in that, so it's going to be 4 points. For our blues, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be 5 points. But then our lines from yellows to blue, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 times 3, which is 12. So we have 12 points from that, which means we have 9 plus 12, or 21 points from that alone. Not to mention, we got 4 stars around our sun, and we crossed the line. That is a very efficient constellation that we have just drawn. That's it. That's the game. You're going to rinse and repeat 6 more times, well 4 more times, 6 times total. So 6 of your 7 constellations will be used. You're going to rotate the board those 6 times, or technically you're rotating the board 5 times until you're back to the start. And you're going to draw each of those into these various boxes. You're going to add up all the remaining points you have if you didn't have to break constellations. You're going to sum for the stars around your sun, sum for the lines you've crossed, and sum for the stars on the edge of your galaxy. Add all of that up, and that is going to be your points in Star Explorer. Which brings us to a review, talking to you about what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking in this game. Let's start with what I like over here. In general, this is just a charming game. This is a lot of fun to actually just draw the constellations on your board. We'll get more into like final thoughts we'll get later into final thoughts as far as how I feel overall, but I think the main thing this game has for it is a good enough system with a lot of charm. It is a good enough system. There's a little bit of a flip and right. It's effectively a flip and right, but instead of cards, you have these tiles. The galaxies are going to show up in, well, there's tons of galaxies. There's a box, there's like all of these over here. These are stacks full of galaxies, more than you'll actually need, so lots of variety from the actual shapes. I assume they're all real. I don't actually know galaxies well enough to know, but you're going to be drawing all these various shapes onto your board. The number, by the way, on the back is the number of stars you have. So again, that 9-pointer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 spots in that constellation. So you have a little bit more information as far as what you're choosing and trying to put out there. But the sheer level of variety is trying to find the perfect placement, like this over here. This placement over here for 21 points, that is an incredibly satisfying placement that leaves my galaxy open for whatever comes next, is very efficient on space, is very efficient on extra scoring goals, does a great job at scoring those yellows and blues. Trying to find those patterns, and when you do, is such a satisfying experience. This game got good gameplay and then chock full of charm, a lot of strategy, and ways to be mindful of different points. Are you focusing on the points the constellation gives you, or are you able to min-max all these 3 other areas because you will want those points? When is it worth scratching off a star and losing these 3 points over here because it'll open up a better placement that'll give you even more points, but you have to not fully draw the constellation? It's just a good game that is fun, strategic, variable enough to keep you coming back, and is just, well, fun. I'm going to keep focusing on the fun aspect. The fun aspect is very much here in this one. As far as what I don't like in the game, a few small things. The biggest thing for me, and this has only happened one time for me, but it definitely happened, the way you're going to be dealing out these galaxies over here is you just go ahead and divide up constellations to the players. You do it randomly, and you just do it based on the numbers. So everyone's supposed to get a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then, a 5 through 10 with an additional 7. The problem is, there was one game where I basically only had yellow and blues the entire game. I didn't have any whites or purples, and that meant that I was just working with less star ability on my galaxy over here. If I can only touch the whites and blues in order to maximize my point scoring, very quickly those are going to be used up. And so I was very stuck in that game trying to literally only focus on these, trying to get the extra points from everything else, because the actual constellations themselves were scoring incredibly low when I had to keep double dipping into the same 2 colors again and again. Now again, the good news is this only happened once, because it is kind of luck of the draw, and honestly I would probably just house rule that, you know, you get one of each and you have at least one of each color, and then after that it's random. But it is something that was one experience I had. I felt stuck with what the game was trying to make me do, but then didn't let me do due to the random nature of, well, what's being divvied out. Outside of that, the only other critique I'd have, and this is more relevant to all games as opposed to just a one-off experience, is the decision space is a little bit limited. Meaning you do have variable galaxies over here, and you do have these different things to be mindful of, as well as the constellations themselves. But outside of that, there's not a lot that keeps this game alive and fresh. There's not variable goals, there's not something else, there's not really different maps or anything that really changed. I think if there were different maps, I don't know if I'd noticed the difference that heavily. So for me, I really like what the game is doing, and I have a lot of fun playing it, but as with many games, I tend to find myself looking for that thing that makes every experience unique and different, and this one doesn't have that. It's been fun playing through it. I've gone through a bunch of plays of it, and I'm still excited to keep diving into it, but it lacks that special something variable that makes me wonder about the long-term longevity of a game like this. As far as I can see others not liking, first of all, this is not a high player interaction game. Outside of having one player choose the number and other players mirroring off of that, there's really nothing that's going on as far as the interaction. You're all optimizing your own thing. There is a solo mode. I have not played it, but maybe I should, because if I'm enjoying, I guess I like comparing the final numbers at the end of it. Although that brings us to the second thing, I can't guarantee there's any fairness here, even aside from my personal complaint, because my personal thing that I don't like is when I feel I can't do anything. But separately from that, you will just have someone who flipped a card that's better for them. Like, this flipping over here is one of the best flips I've seen in terms of not just the way that star scored, but how well that star scored while not compromising on my board. It fits perfectly into that space. You will have those moments, and that lack of fairness is definitely going to be present if you're looking for a well-balanced experience. I don't think this is that game. This is more about just trying to optimize your own score through things. I'll also say this is a game. Lastly, I'll say this is a game that, if you have that one person in your group who's very AP prone, analysis paralysis prone, who needs to focus on getting that perfect placement of their constellation to optimize everything, this game can drag. It's a very fast game otherwise. It's cheap, it's fast, affordable, you can double it to play with other, so many good things about it. But it will slow down if you have that one person who needs to rotate, configure, adjust, because of the sheer variety of how many possible ways there are to put a constellation into your board. It means that that person who's looking for that perfect placement can take forever to do so. As far as final thoughts on Star Explorer, I really like this game. It's a lot of fun, and it's loaded with charm. I've said charm before, I've said charm, fun, it has all those things. To me, this is a 4 out of 5. I think the gameplay alone is probably a 3.5 out of 5, but the level of fun the game brings to the table as far as drawing constellations, rotating your board, the visual optics of your developed galaxy as you go, like pulling this out at the end and having your galaxy at the end, is a very satisfying experience. Although I should note, I probably should ding it a little bit as well, because these markers, this white marker color is great on the board, very annoying to actually deal with and erase, and sometimes annoying to get going in the first place. But overall, small quirks and frustrations aside, this is just a very fun flip and write game that I am excited to keep playing, because it's fun. It's just fun. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, if you want something very similar thematically, check out Astra from, oh my gosh, from Mind Clash Games. And then if you want another giant roll and write or flip and write galactic puzzle, check out Twilight Inscription if you want something that is not even remotely close to this, past the general theme and the fact that you're drawing, but gives you a lot more strategy and a lot more things going on across 4 separate galaxy boards per player. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.